Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you again here at Forum ONE, and I have two grand seigneurs of this business. Everybody of them is doing his own kind of business. I welcome Rob McEwen, chairman of McEwen Mining, well known to the mining people, and Egon von Greyerz, who is bringing the precious metal that Rob is digging out back to the ground. Egon and Rob, great to have you here both. I hope you enjoy the show so far. I have some questions prepared for you. Rob, as I just said, you get the metal out of the ground. The mining business is a really tough one. Do you think that it is honored to the extent that it deserves? We know you have to overcome so many difficulties to bring a deposit into production. You have the political issues, geopolitics, then the geological risk. There is a lot of risk involved in this business. And then we see the capital markets, you have to fight, you have to get capital, it's really tough. Do you think that this industry is valued as it should be?
Not yet. It's coming. And I think there are times when capital is plentiful, and that's when a larger portion of the market is investing. Right now it's a very tiny portion interested in gold. It's coming. But there are a lot of challenges. It takes longer to build a mine today. What they're finding is taking a bigger investment to discover a deposit. So I don't think the public looks at that, but there are opportunities out there if you look for companies that have spent a lot of money and are unrecognized right now.
That's true. Egon, and you get the precious metal back into the ground.
Yes.
It is all the time, through history, gold has been a self-defense for people who want to protect themselves against inflation, of course. It's always the same. And you, at least, are depending on companies like Rob's who get the precious metals out of the ground. Where do you think will this gold market go? Is it, we talked about that in our own videos, is it a strange market that is developing very slowly? You see it slowly, the business relatively slowly. As Rob said, there's little interest in mining companies. It's a quiet market still, right?
Well, it is quiet now. It's interesting. Everybody thought when gold was approaching $3,000 that year we had so many buyers in. But from the point of view of investment gold, it's actually been a quiet year, which is very interesting. But the gold price keeps going up, as you said. Well, as we know, there's only 0.5% of world financial assets in gold today, which is nothing. And as I see the clear trend of central banks now switching their dollar reserves to gold. And on top of that, you have the BRICS countries, and investors will follow. So there will be a major shift in gold investment, increased quantities being bought, and of course they won't be available at this price. And central banks will probably, once they start buying, and they're going to have continuously buy and support the gold price. But we have a wonderful industry now which is supported by central banks and by governments. Governments fail all the time and debase the currencies, and central banks now for the first time are going to shift into gold, and that will make the gold price go up by many times, multiple. That will be a major boost to the gold market. I think it'll be revalued in the next few years by multiples. So it's an interesting market now, but nobody has discovered it yet. No institutional investor, not even small investor we have here. A good crowd, but they are the exception. They're the 0.5%. When you have a commodity or an investment that is all the time supported by government and central banks, you don't have to worry. It doesn't go straight up, but certainly the trend is so clear and has been for several thousand years.
On the one hand, Egon, it is supported by the government. On the other hand, it's suppressed by the bullion banks. We know this. The price is going up anyway. Rob, doesn't that speak for a big chance if we consider the inflation will go up? The deficits of the states are increasing. Isn't there a big chance to invest in mining companies like yours that are recovered, but if you go years back, we had totally different valuations. For instance, 2011, that was a completely different stage of the market. We had multiples, even the big names, Agnico, Barrick, were twice as expensive as now. I think that's a great opportunity because, as Egon said, the governments are, although they do not do that, or maybe they do that on purpose, are promoting this market, are pushing it up. I think it's an opportunity, right?
I think there's a new generation coming into the market that wasn't familiar with gold, and they're starting to see the purchasing power decline, and they're coming into gold. A lot of the people that were in the market in 2011, just before it crashed, they basically have a hangover. There was such a drop in values, and that it takes them, they either got chased out of the market or they're very, very cautious coming back into the market. And I just think there's a new group coming in that is going to propel it higher, looking for the types of gains we've seen in the tech market and seeing that gold and other precious metals are taking them that way.
Do you have a realistic guess where we can expect to see the gold price maybe next year or in the next 5 years? What's your estimate?
Well, I was on a panel with Pierre Lassonde, who co-founder of Franco-Nevada, just about a month ago, and that question was asked. And for some time, I believe $5,000 was an easy target. And Pierre got up and said $22,000. And I went, okay, I'd take that. But he just looked and said, there was a chart I showed about the Dow Jones and the gold price, and you just see that there's been several occasions where 1 or 2 ounces bought the Dow. And if we were to get back to that, I mean, the Dow's at 43,000 right now, so if you had 2 ounces bought the Dow, you'd be at close to $22,000. So higher. Significantly
Of course,
higher.
yes. We expect that.
Well, I have a view also on that.
Please.
So,
Let us know.
I used to forecast the gold price. I said when we started 25 years ago, I said it'll reach at least 10,000 in today's money terms. But now, forecasting a gold price is a mug's game because we're measuring it as something is going down by the day. We're measuring it in dollars or euros or yen or whatever it is. So, it's better to measure it in chickens or cows than actually in something that is loose, that over time has always gone to zero. Therefore, whether I think we are in the acceleration phase of the debasement of the currencies, and also inflation is going to go up much faster now, like in the 70s at least. So therefore, the gold could go up by multiples that we don't even understand today. And if we get the hyperinflationary period, the Germans would remember, or some of them, Weimar Republic, and was $1 trillion for an ounce, or $1 trillion marks for an ounce of gold. So it's meaningless to measure that. We know that gold will at least continue to be equal to purchasing power, and therefore maintain purchasing power, and probably also do better than purchasing power, because of all the forces that are now going into gold for protection, for investment, and when you talk about mining companies, you follow these successful people, McEwen and Rob had a fantastic peer behind him, and I'm sure that, the winners, although this industry has been difficult, good people have always built successful companies, and I'm sure McEwen will be one of them. Is already, but even more so.
Thank you.
Yes. Rob, you just gave your presentation and you said if you want to sleep well at night, buy a physical. If you want to have some fun, buy some juniors. They are depressed. You said it already at the beginning, they will come. What are the advantages why investors should have a look at particularly McEwen Mining?
Oh, a number of reasons. One, we're in gold and copper. Gold being the ultimate currency, and copper being a critical ingredient for modern civilization. As Egon just said, there's a debasement of currency that's an ongoing affair of government. So gold is going to rise. And the world's population is increasing, and copper is a critical component of urbanization and modern life. So I think both go up. I do have a bit of a caution about copper, because if we were to see the economy rolling over for a while, copper's often been referred to as Dr. Copper, an indicator of where the economy is going. So you could have it come off, but I take comfort that we're in the bottom cost quartile, so we should be able to survive that downturn. We haven't built the mine yet, but it's projected to be in the bottom cost. So,
Egon, you are the business owner of von Greyerz, the company that got your name. Why should people who maybe do not know you yet have a particular look at your company and what you offer? What makes you special?
Well, you know, we started this business about 25 years ago, and this was really for ourselves and a few other major investors who, you know, I had studied markets and risk for all my life, and came to the conclusion that to protect risk, gold was the best investment by far throughout history. And so I'm really very risk averse, and I'm at the stage in my life also when I think that I don't want to trade, buy, and sell instruments. So therefore, physical gold outside the banking system, I must add, is very important. And we built up a business of very, very good people, and probably the best system in the world to invest gold outside the banking system. You know, we have, as you know, this vault in the Swiss Alps, which is the biggest private gold vault in the world, and a James Bond experience. You know, it's very safe. And people own their own metals, can go and visit it themselves, etc., which is absolutely important. You shouldn't hold it in paper form or through a bank, but you should have access to it yourself directly, without finding a broken banking system in front of you that you can't get.
That's the point. We had already the banking crisis in the USA, and it was, I think, only a small foreshadow what we can expect to come.
I fear so, and I hope it won't happen, but the risk is there, bigger than ever, worldwide, and that's why I think you mustn't hold your reserve asset in the banking system or in the financial system. It's very simple.
So right now, a suggestion for investors, I would say, Egon, it's the time to overweight precious metals against other assets. You mentioned already, we see that gold is gaining relatively to other assets. Rob said it, Dow-gold ratio, that will come down. So it's really a time to have more precious metals than other investments.
Well, I've said it many times, we haven't started yet. We've been in this, we've been into gold heavily since beginning of this century. So gold is up in most currencies about 10 times. But I think the real move hasn't started yet. I think that will be exponential. But it obviously is linked to the currencies falling. But nevertheless, I'd rather have gold than currencies. So we will see a real revaluation of gold. And I always say that you don't have to be a millionaire or rich to own gold. You can buy an ounce of gold or a gram of gold, or you can buy an ounce of silver for $30, $35. So you don't have to be rich. And if you buy an ounce of gold or a set of silver every month, whenever you can afford it, at the end of a year or two, you have enough to manage if you live in a hyperinflationary economy, especially Venezuela. If people in Venezuela had done that, for example, they would have saved themselves. And now they're all poor. So gold has always been the best way to actually...
Egon, for many people in the West, it's still difficult to imagine that something that happened to Venezuela, to South America all the times, could come to us also. But we really have to get used to this thinking, the dollar, and at the end, the world financial system is based on the dollar.
Yeah, look at the debt.
If the dollar gets a problem, the euro will, the yen will. I wait for a big collapse in the yen, by the way, for quite a while now. But sooner or later, even a long period comes to an end. And Rob, a final comment from you. What investors should do now relating to gold? Get your gold.
Start increasing your exposure to this sector.
Final comment from you, Egon.
Well, I think this is the time for wealth preservation,
Yes.
and it's a time, and there are different forms of doing it. Physical is obviously the safest, but the biggest potential is a company like McEwen, and because there you have, you can earn multiples on your investment, as Rob showed in his presentation. So it's a good combination for people having physical and having some exciting investment in the real mining sector.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Rob McEwen.
Jan, thank you.
Egon von Greyerz. Always a pleasure, Egon. Thank you for being here.